This is episode 332 of the Gold Squadron podcast, and I'm your host, William. Is this what this is about? Hegwood? And today I'm joined by Marcel. The root of pain can be found through the three-way canal. Manzano.
Yeah, emergency root canal on Friday. Turns out there's 3 nerves because they showed me the MRI. So they went in and they drilled 3 nerves and they're out. So good times.
Wow. Hopefully everything goes okay. We also have Ryan. Why did Rack cross the road? Stan Zuski.
To get Darth Vader to the other side.
And James, new kitty cat Ritter.
Yeah, I missed last week to take care of this little one because she decided to fracture her thigh bone on the first couple days that we had her. So we had to go take her to the vet.
Is that what she's attempting to lick right now?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Aw, she looks so tiny and cute.
I know. It's just like a miniature. If you see my other cat, it's like a miniature version.
I was gonna say, it looks the same grade. It's like, did you get your cat de-aged? What is happening?
Shrunken. Yes. They even have the same like ringtails and everything. So.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's what a catastrophe. But I want to talk some X-Wing. But before I gotta talk about the GSP Patreons. Patreons are GSP's largest group of supporters. They get us to these large events. Dion's heading up to St. Lawrence. Not this weekend, next weekend. Is it this weekend? Let me look at my calendar. I think it's this weekend.
It's this weekend, yeah.
I think you're right, yeah.
Whoa! It's come up so fast. He's heading up to Canada for a world qualifier. And you guys can join him on our Twitch. And the way you can get there is through the support of Patreon. So if you want to get us to more events, you gotta check out the Patreon at patreon.com/goldsquadron. All right, first we're doing some headlines for recent or roundup events. The main one that started this week is the XTC, the International Team Championships for the X-Wing. Multitude of nations come together to battle it out. We are proud to represent. If I can switch the camera now. Oh, I didn't hit that button. There it is. Me and Marcel, proud to represent Team USA in the group of D, facing off against Serbia this week, but have Poland, Spain, Mexico, and the new U.S. Islands team as well, taking players from Hawaii, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, coming together to support those kind of smaller nations, if you will, around, but has a great group of players as well. So we're going to check in on that. Right now, only one game in. This is the first day of the XTC. Serbia's got us 1-0. But should be an exciting match. Marcel, thoughts on going up against Poland, Spain, Serbia, U.S. Islands, and Mexico for the group stage?
Yeah, I don't think we ever went through like the whole like what all the groups are, and but no. Long story short, we're in one of the groups of 6. There's a couple teams of groups of 5, and basically the top 2 of each group advance. And this was a weird one because we were seeded, right? So they try to do it in a way that not all of the best teams or the top teams or the teams that were like the top 10 teams last year are put into the same one again. Mm-hmm. So we were seeded, and I believe Spain is seeded, right? Mm-hmm. But Poland, because decided to play like crap during Swiss last year, they're probably the strongest. I mean, objectively, they have like the best resume, right? Like their players have the most longevity and best resume and best performance overall in XCC. But they came in as unranked, so they are huge spoilers. And then also Mexico is a pretty strong team. Serbia has done well, and the U.S. islands, our boy Daniel Leon, he jumped over there. I don't even know who all is on their team, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure they're a pretty decent team as well.
There's Obi Juan, Psych J,
I know him.
Anthony Marchland, Mike T, and Alan Camacho is on the U.S. Islands team. USA's got Doug Howe, Joel. What's Joel's last name? I was going to say Snaggletooth. Springle, thank you. Levi Shat, Steve Cotillo, of course, Marcel Manzano, and Christopher Patrick as our subs. Oh, then, of course, Stephen Whalen is all on our team. I mean, it's kind of tough to say, but like, well, I guess Serbia and U.S. Islands are like the weakest in their group. Not going to be easy matchups. Going to be tough.
I don't know if you can say that when we're 0-1 against.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We might be the easy matchups. Hard to say.
Yeah, you gotta wake up.
Let's see. We got a great team though, so exciting stuff. More to come with that. That's going to be. This is round robin, so we got 5 weeks of that. Then we'll find out who's in the final group. So that's real exciting. Great to see that culmination of all the nations together. But going from a worldwide event, I want to talk about something a little bit more local to us, which was the Crossroads Classic 6. In the first turn? No, like Family Time games out in the Indianapolis, Indiana. Ryan, you had a chance to go. Before we get into the list and the winners and stuff, how was the event?
It was good. Started Saturday, checked in, registration or completed registration. You normally would register online and roll better and pay for your ticket prior to the event online on Family Time Games website. Very easy process. Got to the store, said hi to a bunch of people I haven't seen in a while, chatted up a bit, got lists ready. I think we got going at the scheduled time around 10:15. 312 Nick Sperry was there casting for the event. He had Matt the Iron Man Carey there to co-commentate as well.
Nice.
And it was a good setup. It had 48 total players, I believe, and great prize support overall. Everyone left with their faction card. The art created by Mark Moriarty always has great art. He went a little bit of different style this time around. Still looked really awesome. Each faction got their appropriate card. And then everyone left with a Soon Tier felt like these are the official cards given by AMG or from Chris Allen's extras for events like this. So Soon Tier fell alt art, a Horton Som alt art, Ion Cannon Turret, Predator, like some of the ones that were like kind of lost during COVID, but are now being given out at these type of events because there's just a whole bunch of extras that never got used. And then like everyone also got to leave with the punch board for the Inferno Squadron. Like Gideon, Iden, Del Mico, and Sane Morena.
Nice.
Just everyone left with a whole set, which was really awesome. We got done after 5 rounds of Swiss, probably by 6:37. all tried to get everyone to congregate at a local sports bar-ish place. Very big though. It's called the Ale Emporium. We went there, and there were not everyone there left at the same time, but when I got there, we saw a group of small group over in the corner. We're like, oh, that must be them. Maybe not everyone's here yet. Then we realized they're like, wait, no, they're the rest of the group's like all the way in the back corner. We're like, what back corner? So we go to this door that leads to a whole nother room about the same size, and then go across that room to go up to another door that leads to another room that's about the same. This is like 3 bars in one. It's a huge place. Finally, we found everyone. Packed as a lot of us there, and enjoyed the night with some good wings, and chatted up with everybody there. Ate some good food. And then Sunday was top 8 cut. Plus side events. They had a Aces High available, and they had a new thing that they were trying out, a 2v2 draft tournament. So you teamed up with somebody, and there was a sort of drafting mechanic to draft pilots, anywhere from standardized pilots to custom pilots. I don't know if the custom pilots were like pre-built with certain loadouts in this draft. I didn't pay too much attention to it.
That would make sense, right?
Yeah, but Zach Bart, who kind of helped run it, said it seeming like it went really well and people had a lot of fun with it. So it'd be cool to see draft format style things happen in X-Wing. And yeah, top 8 went through. Basically 3 rounds of play. Finally got to our final, and yeah, crowned an eventual winner. We can talk about the full breakdown segue right now.
Yeah. Who did win it? That's a great segue.
So the winner ended up being Michael Simon, aka Biophysical, running a resistance list of Poe Dameron. Now hold on. Commander Poe Dameron with Plasma Torpedo, Integrated S-Foils, R2-D2 Astromech, Ferrosphere Paint, Marksmanship, and Crack Shot. Elo Asti with Jamming Beam, S-Foils, Predator, Crack Shot. Temin, Jamming Beam, S-Foils, R68, Crack Shot. Jessica Pava, S-Foils, Baffle, and M9G8. And then BB-8 with Chewbacca. So we have seen basically no Commander Poe like anywhere. No one's really trying it. Barely people are touching Trigger Happy Poe. Most people are touching Falcon Poe. But normally when I've looked at archetypes of this 3x plus 2, normally the plus 2 of a 6-pointer and a 2-pointer, I've considered Chewbacca Falcon, but not Commander Poe. But it's cool to see this Commander Poe doing well, and it makes sense, right? We know double modded Plasma Torps are really good right now, and Poe can do it at I6, which is awesome. And he has some loadouts still to play with to kit himself out to whatever he needs to. If he wants additional fire when he's shooting his primary with Crack Shot, if he wants to be a little disruptive with Ferrosphere, if he wants to have some regen or some utility with R2-D2, you could, if you want, go with Overdrive Thrusters instead of R2-D2 Astromech and be a little more evasive or harder to catch after initial attack run. Poe's ability can also be used on his friends too, meaning they could take scenario actions and still get an action. He could take scenario actions and still get an action. So it's very useful across the board. When he played, normally Jessica Pava seemed to be locking Elo Asti for the rerolls, since R68 was on Temin. And BB-8, he just wanted someone as a dedicated objective runner. BB-8 is really good at that for 2 points. Can be disruptive with jamming while still potentially having Chewbacca available for attacking back. Work really well for him. And I'm actually curious to try it. I've been a fan of the 5T70 variants. This is just a different wheelhouse, bringing an I6 punch, and with still the same core 3 teeth of Elo, Temin, and Jess, and a dedicated objective ship with BB-8.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. That to me, that's like the definition of like a 5 ship these days. is finding that objective piece, your 3 jousters, and then your heavy hitter, for whatever that would mean. Someone who can stay alive and be accurate. And yeah, this checks all those boxes. So super interesting to see. What is you're saying the versatility on R2D2? I thought it was just a shield back. What's the other half of the ability?
So for R2D2, let me go ahead and pull it up so I can read it as needed. So when you have R2D2, there's 2 separate clauses or sentences for him. Most people are familiar with the second part, which is during the end phase. If you have no shields active, you may spend 2 charges to recover 1 shield to gain a deplete. Most people focus on that a lot. But the first half, during the end phase, you may spend a charge and a shield to remove a red token. That's any red token. So that is kind of like a limited source of electronic baffle. You can get rid of ion tokens, which could be very important to make sure POTUS get locked down and fired upon after your ion. You could get rid of a lock on yourself. If you know that like a Vader's still going to be barreling down on you, and you know he wants to probably do a 4K or a Talon roll, but if you tell him to get rid of his lock, then he won't have his ability to reacquire on you. He won't have it, and doing a red move, or you're expecting him to. You could get rid of a strain or a deplete if you wanted, if it was that important. You can get rid of a stress, as obviously is the one that comes to mind the most. So you got all that utility to get rid of red tokens at this cost of 1 shield and 1 charge. You have 4 charges on R2D2, so if you really needed to, you only have 3 shields. So you only do that 3 times, but you couldn't do the second part to get that shield back when you're out, because you would not have the ability to spend 2 charges to get a shield back. Use as needed. There's some limitations here and there, but it is flexible. It can help Poe.
Interesting. I like the removal of the ion as well. That would be a neat trick to keep your Poe on the run.
Yeah. Usually we assume, an ion like X-Wing or T-70 is likely a dead one the next turn.
Pretty much. All right, well, let's take a look at what they faced off against. This is Eagle Black Belt. What's Eagle Black Belt's actual name?
That would be Josh Richardson from Michigan, buddy of mine.
Yes, indeed. All right, they're flying the 4-ship Han Solo here with Perceptive Co-Pilot, Chopper, Crew, Bistan, Engine Upgrade, and Falcon Title, mixed with Boy, Luke with those Instinctive Aim Proton Torpedoes. Has Fen Rao, another I-6 in a Fang Fighter with Predator, Crackshot, Beskar. So no afterburners on there. Nothing fancy like that. Coming in to attack with that Predator and Crackshot. Then Kyo Venzi, they're kind of objective getter here with Lone Wolf and Concussion Missiles. Classic archetype, still does well. When I'm always too nervous to fly Fen Rao, but if you can keep that I-6 alive, distract with Han and Luke, can be very powerful. Let's take a look then at the top 4 lists. Ryan, what am I, Dion? Screwing you guys, his name's up already. James, take away this Imperial list for me by Velvet Buddha.
Has Rack with Darth Vader, Death Troopers, Agile Gunner, Ruthless, Electronic Baffle, and the Dauntless Title. Pretty classic Rack there. I don't think anything out of the ordinary. Beginning to be more of a meta staple / monster, as none of us want it to, but it is good. I also have Merrick Stell with Ruthless, Marksmanship, and Proton Rockets, really leaning into that Ruthless ability there. And Merrick with those Proton Rockets and Marksmanship has a pretty good chance of putting at least one face-up damage card down to use its ability. We have Tomex and Deathfire. Both of these are the new ones out of the TIE Bomber pack. So there's Plasmex and Launch Fire here. And Lieutenant Lumiere to finish out the list with Lone Wolf and Targeting Computer. This Tomex and Deathfire. This Deathfire in particular is super nasty. People were down on it before, like thought it was a joke, thought it was a one-off. We won't see it very often, but man, it is a disruption piece, to say the very least. Yeah, I can imagine why choosing between Rack with Vader on board and Deathfire could give some players a hard choice.
Yeah, because not.
Yeah, and so and the player of Velvet Buddha, his real name Andrew Block. I looked statistically right now. There's only been 14 lists with that new Deathfire. If you're playing Empire, you should try him, and to the rest of the community, be prepared.
Yeah, know what it does. Because I thought I could get away with it in one of my games against it, and was not able to. Still found me. Still did nasty things to me. I thought I'd gotten away with it when he ran out of proton bombs and he hit me with the Connor.
Yeah, because
the Connor net's so good.
Yeah,
because it's not just the launching. Yet, like the 3 bank launch 3 forward at you is at least predictable, right? You could see it coming. But the hard 3 away, use Nimble Bomber to 3 bank a bomb drop afterwards, and then like block you on top of that bomb he just dropped with the 3. 5K that launch. Like man,
5K launch, yeah.
Has
5K launch, 3K launch.
With not a bad bomb, a good bomb.
The proton bomb, the real one.
Yeah, the real bomb.
Yeah,
the scary one.
Still packing some ion capability there with the Connor net though too.
Yeah.
That's
So you gotta watch out for it. You have to know what it can do, or else you will get surprised by it.
Yeah. Also, when people are trying it out, you definitely got to be careful not to just be like, "All right, I'm gonna go launch at the entire opponent's list," and then you'll do 1 damage to everything and die. See, there's a little bit of like, you gotta. I think he's best when he sort of like does some objective things, waits in the wings for a second, and then when everything's in the scrum, you just be like, "I'm gonna send Deathfire in and throw a bomb," and there's not much they can do about it.
Yeah, you do have to kind of build the rest of your list around it, because you do not want something that wants to be in the opponent's face. So these bombers are great at that. Like Tomax likes to stay back with that plasma and room to do his barrel roll. Merrick is completely fine at staying at range 3 and just grabbing a lock. And Rack just wants to battleship around the battlefield. So just skirt around the outside.
Or just, if you got shields, just throw it at your Rack. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
More damage to the enemy, it's not a big deal.
No, Death Troopers Vader. Ryan will talk more about, I'm sure, true. But does not hang out on the outside of the battlefield.
That is true. Oh, yeah.
I'm here to mess with your day. Oh, look, you didn't remove your stress. It'd be really a shame if you couldn't reposition anymore. Oh, look, a bomb.
Yeah. Well, and also, you don't have a green token to spend for Vader.
Oh, looks like a lot of auto damage.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but probably fortunately, the bomb goes off and then Vader happens, not the other way around. So no, you cannot strip shields with Vader crew and then the bomb goes off. Bomb goes off first, then Vader crew happens.
Luckily, it's in that order, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna hit.
If it wasn't in that order, and you could do it the other way, that would be much scarier.
Very scary for people with only one shield. I'm gonna hit up this other top 4 just real quick though. It's the same. This is from TZM. I don't know TZM. Do you remember the other top 4?
That is the Zach Matthews.
The Zach Matthews, obviously. I was like, I've seen this somewhere before. Anyways, running the 5-ship Han Solo. So it's Han Solo with the Bistan chopper. Perceptive Shenanigans Boy, Luke. This time, though, Keo's rocking Prockets and splits that Fang into Wedge in the A-Wing with Marksman, Crackshot, and Sabine Wren with the Beskar reinforced plating. Again, another staple out there with the double A-Wing and Sabine running objectives and interference for Han and Luke. So not surprised to see it do well, especially flown by the Zach Matthews. But look at this. No, one of our top 8 players, our Stan, our own Ryan Stanszewski. Tell us about your list, Ryan.
So it might sound very familiar. So me and Andrew Block were kind of working on this kind of list, not directly together, but we were kind of chatting about like what we wanted to bring. It's the same thing, like everything across the board. The same rack, same SL Tomax, the same SL Deathfire, the same Lone Wolf targeting computer delivery. The only differences are 4-point choices. I chose, instead of Merrick, Volt Scarus Interceptor with shield upgrade and Ruthless. I5 Interceptor, pretty good. Add shield, good. Ruthless, very good when you have bombers and rack and basically some extra health around to pull from. Also, I'm just about every game, Volt Scarus' ability mattered the first turn, because normally how people view Volt Scarus' ability is that you have to it's an action in his pilot card ability to recover the charge and take a strain token. What that charge allows you to do is when you engage, you may spend the charge to perform an action. So the idea is you could, in a normal turn outside of turn 1, you could, if you were an I5 and you were squaring up to another I5 and they were second player and you were first player, you could move, spend, and recover the charge, knowing you could respond to what they do. If they turn away, if they move at you, you could then, since you activate before them as first player, spend the charge that has now been recovered, and then do your actions. You could focus roll out of their arc and shoot them. You could roll boost and go get them if they turned away from you. Anything like that. But the key is, in the first turn of the game, you start with your charge active. And that allows you to, as an example, I could 5 straight up the board, take a focus, see what my opponent's entire list does, and then when I engage at I5, I get to spend the charge that is already started up, and then do anything like boost roll or roll boost or nothing if I'm like, I really don't want to get in range for shots and I could get early game shots if I want, which in most games when I did that netted me at least 1 additional damage that normally most other ships could not get. Beyond that, he was just running down to the back line, getting around the enemy ships, and normally wasn't a high priority target because, as we talked about, Rack was there, Deathfire was there, Tomax was there. All those ships generally draw a lot of aggro because they're stuff the opponent wants to kill, because the TIE bombers are relatively, like, you can bring them down, you should expect to lose them in a game. Rack needs a lot more commitment, but can be done. But it's nice to have that I5 piece that I prefer to have Vault on top of everything I just talked about, just having a native 3 dice attack, not needing that lock that Merrick would have to take to get a full regular 3 die attack that I want to bring. Since I already have Deathfire that's toting just the bombs, like his gun isn't something I can rely on. Tomax, he needs a lock. I don't want another piece in the list that needs to do an action to provide a real gun to the fight. So I had tried Countdown before. I'd considered Sabak. I'd consider Faroff. I actually, after trying out this list, I like Vault. I think Vault is one of my top choices in that 4-point slot. But I haven't tried Faroff, and I really want to. Now that I think I would try Faroff because it synergizes really well with Rack and Death Troopers and Vader. I could do Faroff with 000 and Ruthless as well. So I could have that 000 interaction, make them think about taking the stress or giving me the calc with Death Troopers hanging around. And if I jam someone, Vader just does auto damage. If I can't jam them or don't want to, Vader could make them lose a green token, and then Faroff's ability is more active against the opponents. Overall,
That makes a lot of
this
sense.
rack plus 4 things, likely 3 3-point things and a 4-point thing, I think is a really good archetype. Might even be the best archetype in Empire. Like looking at the results of the percentiles and the success rates of all the Empire stuff, this archetype has done the best so far.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, what is it about the bombers that's it making this kind of list possible?
I mean, it's a combination of rack and the bombers. You got a lot. You actually have a decent amount of auto damage. We talked about Vader. We talked about Deathfire's bombs. The extra damage from plasma torpedoes is pretty key for Tomax. You actually have a lot of control pieces between Tomax's ion bombs. You have Death Troopers. You have just the sheer size of Rack's large base flying around. You have Connor nets from Deathfire. You have Lareer just kind of running around the board. I mean, Lareer might not even be the best choice. Maybe it should be Reimer there too, with just Sat Salvo, barrage rockets, and another ion bomb. Just another area of denial. So there's a decent bit to play with, but I think the core is Rack, SL Tomax, SL Deathfire, and then choose between Lareer and Reimer, and then a slew of 4-pointers you have at Empire's disposal. I just prefer 4-pointers that bring a real 3-dice gun.
Sure, that makes sense. I mean, the difference between Merrick and Vault is like one shield and a rocket. You trade that out for the full dice gun and the linked actions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the auto thrusters and whatnot.
Sure. Good stuff. Well, Ryan, congratulations getting that far.
Yep. As a quick what I went throughout the entire Swiss day, Republic. My buddy, one of the Republics, the last one being Zach Rigetti, one of my Michigan buddies on stream, fun game. And then Josh Richardson, who is second place. I barely beat him in a really, really close game. And then my final match would have been against Republic. But he offered me the intentional draw, and I accepted. Since we were both guaranteed in the cut. But he actually, Brian Lurk, couldn't make it to the next day. He just wanted to say, I've got my, I'm numerically going to be top in faction. I've got my prizes, and I won't be able to make it tomorrow, and I'm tired. So I just want an ID. And I'm like, okay, I accept. So I would have faced 4 Republic throughout the day. Republic was actually very popular at Crossroads.
Well, I think that's a great segue into our next list, Marcel.
Yeah, we've got an interesting one. It's not the old Padme one. It's Anakin Skywalker with Malice, Predator, Heavy Laser Cannon, R4 Astromech, and Targeting Computer. Wait, is this
which Anakin would that be?
Yeah.
Is this the? It's not the It's the calibrated laser one without the calibrated laser. No,
it's customizable.
Custom Ada.
Oh, it's a custom Ada. So okay, so it's 5 points then.
Yep, 5 points.
Gotcha. So it's interesting. That heavy laser cannon is nice at I6 though. Plo Koon with Brilliant Evasion, Debris Gambit, Chopper, and calibrated laser targeting. So that tells you what that one is. Siege of Coruscant Oddball, Siege of Coruscant Wolf, and Slider. Wow, it's a very unique list. It's not something that I don't think you see around a whole lot. Definitely no Padme. Plo is not a normal ship that you see flying around a lot. And it looks like he's there by the looks of it, just almost primarily for support, with Chopper and Brilliant Adventure Debris Gambit just being support plus very defensive. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't see this playing. I can imagine in my head how it would play. You just have two heavy guns. You have Flo just being annoying. Anakin punching above his weight. A lot of times, even though it's interesting putting the heavy laser cannon. And I'm sorry, I think if you guys are hearing that in the background.
It's
Yeah, Kayla's making tea, so it's like the tea kettle. Is that what it's called? Tea kettle. But I mean, it's interesting with the heavy laser cannon and the malice. Like, you can't. Do you shoot, then it turns blank, or do you shoot, it turns crit to hit? Like, it's basically
I see what
they
you're
don't
saying.
work together,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Also, Predator, I don't think works on heavy laser.
Heavy laser
cannons
cannon either.
So
So you've
yeah.
got a lot like that heavy laser cannon is competing for a lot of the same shots. So you've got incentive to shoot your primary 3-die attack instead of the 4-die gun. Yet that's kind of an interesting choice there, but
It can also be his range 1 as well, right? Your HLC for range 2 to 3, range 1 for Predator and Malice. But yeah, I guess if you needed a crit and they were still in your bullseye, you had Malice as the option to help you get the crit.
Malice and Predator, yeah.
Sure.
But without it, your heavy laser cannon is mainly, well, it's not really single modded, it's double modded because you got 3 force, you can target lock and then just use the other force for or pushing the damage through with 4 attack dice. Yeah, I actually don't have a lot to say because I can imagine in my head how it flies. I can see how if you are making good decisions, you can do very well. I can also see how if you make one wrong decision, or if you pair up against, let's say a Han Solo that moves after both Anakin and Plo and can, just like sneak in, 2 double shots, like double shot one turn, double shot the other turn, and next thing you know, Anakin and Plo are non-existent. It can really swing. So it's a gutsy list to take these days. But obviously did it well enough to get to the top 8.
Yeah, it is interesting to me. So we talked about, it was 2 weeks ago or so, the Debris Gambit making choppers red, because you get a free red evade action, so you can still take your regular focus action when you're getting through those first 2 chopper charges. I hadn't considered that you could throw that evade through a Plo Koon's ability to one of the arcs and they could born for this it over to Anakin as well, or basically whoever needed it.
Yeah, it's kind of, we've seen it with like Kyle Katarn in Rebels with like Jyn Erso,
exactly.
but like passing it to Hera so Hera can give it to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're right. Like Plo could pass the evade to either SOC, whatever one's more centralized, and just it is now my list's evade. It's not just Plo's evade.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Like it costs like 1 force to basically turn any die into an evade all of a sudden for like your whole squad. So that's very interesting to me because I think we were talking about putting it on Ayla, but Plo Koon actually interacts with that evade token a little bit more interesting by being able to give it to other people, especially an SOC.
Also, I could imagine a lot of people forget Wolfpack on Wolf not only says born for this, but also Plo Koon. So you could see situations where Plo Koon takes a target lock on something to either spot Wolf, or you could even go as crazy as to like Oddball gets his ability off, gives the lock to Plo to then help set up for Wolf and Wolf.
Right, Plo doesn't need it. Give it to Wolf. Yeah, so
Yeah.
still a lot of that core synergies that make the Republic so good. Oh, interesting. I think it's hilarious that Debris Gambit and Chopper so powerful, so powerful. It really is like the one thing that makes Chopper bad is just like taking away that stress token.
Chopper's going crazy. Just fly next
Wow.
to the asteroids.
Yeah. And you're doing it on I-5 Aether Sprite, like the place where Chopper wants to be, right? Pretty awesome. Let's see. We got one more Rebel list here. This is another 4-ship Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Keo with Juke. I do like how everybody has their own little flavor of Keo. Then Fen Rao with the Predator and Crackshot. This is flown by Brian Davis. Scooter was that Plo Koon and Anakin list that got into the top 8. Marcel, you want to take the last of our top 8 lists here? This is a pretty wild scum list to make it in.
Not the wild and dumb. I'll explain why in a little bit. But okay, so we've got Lima Kai, the Y-wing with R4B11 and plasma torpedoes. It's an I-5 Y-wing, basically with a almost non-existent ability. But the R4B11 allows you to spend your lock in order to make the defender reroll his green dice, I believe it is. So it's kind of a lucky man's saturation salvo if you roll natties on your initial roll. Then Cad Bane with Lats Razi, Sano Blood title, Contraband Cybernetics, Proton Cannon, and Marksmanship. Now, Lats Razi, that's the one that allows you to let. No, is that the one that allows you to let someone else keep a?
No, that's Gamma Key. Lats
One
Razi
is-
used to be on Asajj Ventress.
Yeah, this is while you defend. If the attacker is stressed, you may remove one stress from the attacker to change one of your blank or eyeball results to an evade result.
Okay, so basically it's defensive tech.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Bosk with expert handling and marksmanship, that's the Z95 Bosk. Manaru with R5P8, punishing one, contraband cybernetics. Gar Saxon, an expert handling. Gar Saxon being the one that you get to pull a red token from the defender in order to roll up to 4 dice, maximum of 4 dice. And red or orange. And then Dr. Afra, the YB666 with Houndstooth, Deadman Switch, Babu Freak, Dengar. That's an interesting thing. I haven't seen Dengar crew in a while. Gunner, actually, that's Dengar Gunner in a while. 000 and Lando crew, which is the one that allows you to use one of your green tokens to re-roll, which actually plays really well with 000 because 000 is like, hey, do you want to take a stress? And if, essentially you can double stress someone, right? With Afra's ability.
If you Afra first, then 000. Yes.
Yeah. So you
assuming
can
Afra also has a reinforce hanging around,
wait.
if no one else is shooting after Afra, you could spend the reinforce.
Wait,
Either of those effects too.
Well, you can do that, or you can also be like, hey, do you want to essentially be double stressed, or do you want to give me a reroll on top of my whatever I have?
I gotta stop it because the 000's start of combat, Dr. Afra's when she engages. So you always.
Dr. Afra says if you do, you may choose another ship at range 0 to 1 that is not stressed.
So
So
okay,
Dr.
so you
Afra
want to be able to
make
double
sure
stress.
you end up stressed by either way, either 000 or by the time she engages, you could spend a green
To
token,
calculate.
reinforce or calc to just give them a stress anyway.
Yeah,
just
but there's
use it
also
for-
so many ways to spend red tokens on this squad that like even if you 000, they gain distress. It's pretty likely that by the time that it comes around to Afra engaging,
Is
it's
that for a
possible.
3?
After
After is 3. Same as Manaru.
Yeah. So Manaru can pull it, and then Afra can
Yeah.
give it right back.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she
ANG, I
can use
mean,
Yeah.
Cad Bane is also handing out stress as well with their pilot ability. Not the free action from the Separatist Cad Bane, this Cad Bane. When you hit, I think it's every other turn, when you hit, you can give a bad token to the defender. So just another way to give out stress of Cad Bane's out there doing those linked actions.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are.
And go ahead.
Go ahead, Marcel.
No, I was gonna switch to, because at the same time that this was going on and they were showing this, Firecast Focus from the UK was also showing their a store championship with a lot of big names: Phil JC, Dale Comrell, Dom, Mark, like a lot of people that are well known. And 2 out of their top 4 were also scum lists that had they didn't have Dr. Afra, but they had Fen Rao, but it was the same like Lima, Cad, Boss, Manaru, and Fen Rao. That seemed to do pretty well as well over there. And the one that ended up winning that one was actually a more traditional Empire list that you're expected to see. Is like Vader, 3 bombers, and it was Vader, 3 bombers, and I think like Marine Steel or something like that. I think it was I think it was Vader X1 and 3 bombers.
Okay.
I don't know which bomber. I don't know which combination of bombers, but it was one of those 3 bomber ones. But anyway, you were saying, right?
I mean, basically, this is from Alex Merrill. He's the guy who played this. He's a local of mine. I actually we carpooled to Crossroads together. He's one thing he's good about is building redundancies into his list that have a certain shtick happening. Right? Like in his Republic list, he tries to work with a lot of Sync Council stuff. And there's not just like 1 or 2 things that drives the Sync Council stuff. There's like 3 or 4 sources of what he's trying to do. So he can go to any of it or have multiple ways to make sure things happen to get off what he was trying to do. This is the same type of thing. He's building in a lot of redundancies to give you as many red, orange, whatever tokens to then weaponize them against you. Whether it's R4B11 for Lee Mackay, whether it's Gar Saxon from Manaru, everything along those lines, or even just control or defense for CAD, right? With Lats Razi. It's a lot of like interconnected things that I would think a lot of scum players, this is the kind of stuff that I feel like they're like grabbing for. They were trying to find like the crazy combinations of cards and upgrades that are put together to create this amalgamation of jank that beats my opponents, right? And Alex has actually worked on this list for quite a while. I mean, he even as simple as like if Bosk is not like immediately threatened, he'll just lock with Boss to spot for Manaru, just for that Gar Saxon. One interesting thing, he's actually killed ships by re-rolling the Dengar Gunner with Lando crew, because you can actually do that. You're rolling a dice. Lando crew can re-roll the Dengar Gunner. Babu Freak was actually pretty important for him. There's been a couple times where he's gone up against lists that had mag pulses or other things that get rid of his reinforcer green tokens on Afra that he needs to sort of drive her ability to help feed Manaru's Gar Saxon. And he found that reworking his loadout on Afra to get Babu Frick has helped out a lot. To just eat those bad tokens for a turn to make sure the turn she's trying to do what she needs to do, she can still do it. He's had games where he's finished off a used to be 1 health boy Anakin that decided to run away and regen the force or regen a shield is now 1 shield and 1 hull, and Limakai still had a plasma torpedo left and just used the disarm token to fuel R4B11. Was able to spend the lock on offense anyway. There's a lot of weird things that you have to think about when facing off against this list. You got to really be conscious of the red and orange tokens you have and where they are. They will be used against you.
Yeah, we were talking about like how both the Heritanis and the Siege of Coruscant, the Born for this, they share green tokens. This Scum has now turned into sharing your red tokens. They gain that benefit from it, which is certainly a fresh take to see this kind of salad. Yeah, 5 different chassis coming in this list. Some real underdogs.
It's Manaru and Manaru and Lima are really the only ones that are benefiting, quote unquote, from them being stressed, right?
In an offensive capacity, but like lots Razia on defense with CAD, even just stressing him to make sure they can't K-turn behind Afra, right?
Right. Yeah. So Lima and Manaru are the only ones, and a little bit CAD are the only ones really benefiting from the red token shenanigans. But like you said, he has a redundancy where almost everyone on the team has a way to give red tokens.
Yep. And a lot of the red tokens don't specifically say stress or strain or whatever. It's just red. So,
right.
Like I said, boss can just throw a lock onto someone, right?
Yeah, I think
Lots is the only one.
Yeah. Oh. That is interesting.
Alex has said definitely Manaru ends up being the ship that does the most damage, which kind of makes sense. It ends up being the ship that's actually throwing 4 dice the entire time. Yeah.
With built-in rerolls.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, built-in rerolls, just take a focus. Yeah, turns out probably going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, but a lot of people want to make sure Afra gets off the board because if you're in her range 1, like she becomes dangerous and also dangerous to try and kill because she has Deadman Switch. And I think it was a game at Crossroads, might have been on stream. He did 6 damage with Deadman Switch. Now, granted, half of that was to his own ships. The other half was to the enemy ships.
Wow.
But it was worth it, apparently.
Yeah.
For better or worse, right? Well, that's awesome to see. Let's take a look at, we're at the good old pattern analyzer website here. So we can take a look at some faction breakdown. As you said, Ryan, 27%, a whopping 13 Galactic Republic list, though only 15% of those, or of the field, got into that top 8 cup. So high rate of play, low cut rate there. Unlike Rebels, who got high play rate and high cut rate these days, with them, Resistance, and Scum. Scum, with 7 people playing Scum, what? Makes up almost 15% of.
You told me Scum was bad, Will.
I mean, I said it was more difficult to be successful.
I mean, there were Scum players than Empire players.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, turns out the Empire had a 40% cut rate, so still doing
Empire
61% win rate too. Like, spoiler, when Doug Howe, myself, Andrew Block all decided to be like, we're gonna brainchild some rack stuff right about now.
Yeah, you guys are playing your own version of Scum. Just doing it in Empire.
No, not. We are doing Vader's work, just not by the X1.
Yeah, Vader's taking some well-deserved rest.
It's like, I don't want to fly, but I sure want to hurt things.
Yeah, he's tired of carrying the whole faction on his back, so he's like, you know what, Rag, you take the wheel for a little bit.
You got this, buddy.
Can you imagine a Vader ability in the Decimator?
Oh God.
Take in lock, focus, coordinate.
That's called Grand Inquisitor, and it's even more expensive. Can you believe it? Let's see. Does anything else pop out for us? Hey, big surprise. 70% of lists were 5 ships. There is a 3-ship list in there by Separatist.
No, actually, it was triple VCX.
Oh,
Someone brought triple
wow.
VCX.
Okay, that's a choice.
Chopper,
There,
Kanan, Callus.
there was also a Django Zamdirge.
Yep.
So it might have been not counted in the list.
Fair enough. But yeah, still on the rise as people are more and more familiar with what a list needs to do to compete in these objectives. We're seeing that. It's mostly, to me, just you can't 3 agility spam 6 ships anymore. It's not really as effective as what it had been in the past. So we kind of reduced down to 5 overall. Not to say that 6 can't win it or do good, but looks like everything else to me, though, pretty standard over the course, except for Vault Scarus sticking out and Poe Dameron sticking out as top pilots across the field.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Oh, and then technically the non-SOC Anakin Ada too.
Yeah. Fair enough. Coming out of the woodworks there. Fantastic, though. So big congratulations again to everybody, especially. Now I forget his name now. What's Biophysical's actual name?
Michael Simon.
Michael Simon. Awesome to see. And awesome for the organizers as well, getting almost 50 people to the event. Hopefully, fingers crossed, becomes the world qualifier someday.
They were trying. I think they know it's going to be difficult because Gen Con is already a world qualifier in basically the same city, so
exactly
it might be kind of hard. But I don't know if you just cite that I don't know how many world qualifiers do the UK get? Do they get just one or more than one?
I mean,
They I believe just get one. It was like the System Open. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of if there's
No, you said how many world qualifiers did Europe get? Is that the question?
no, not Europe,
just England.
UK specifically.
Oh, UK specifically.
Oh, you know what? They might have actually had 2. Let me see. We'll see.
We'll
Yeah.
fact check.
And essentially, what I was trying to get to is if they can cite that, like, hey, I know that we already have one at Gen Con, and we're in basically the same city of Indianapolis, but like, hey, in the UK, it's depending on the distance between the 2 world qualifiers, if there were 2 or more, you offered them world qualifiers. This is hey, you did this here, can you do it here? Because Crossroads can bring the people. Like 48 is kind of low for this year in comparison to previous years, but like last year in February 2022, the last one they had like almost 100 people. They're pretty good at getting a lot. So I think maybe the only reason why it was low this year is because it wasn't a qualifier or something high level, but they did get multiple store champ kits in. They awarded 3 invites.
Nice. Yeah. This has been the saving grace of a lot of events is still basically using those world invites to make it an official event still with the official pricing and rewards and stuff. So awesome to see it continue on. Hoping to see it get in that 5th iteration. But let's round out the night. I mean, we've been talking Empire already. Why don't we just stay on it and dive a little bit deeper as we look into lowdowns. I see you have some listed here already. Anybody willing to take a stab at an Empire pilot's loadout? We've already talked a lot about rack. I don't know if rack has a different loadout. You shouldn't be flying a different rack loadouts like that. Death Troopers should be what you're doing. Death Troopers Vader. And you have like your choice
kind
is
of fills
really
itself out the rest of the way there. I think like I would not change that rack at all whatsoever. I granted like that's me and that's what I've already played and picked, but I think once people try it, like that's going to be the default rack if you run a not Vader pilot squad. So I guess if stuff that is undetermined at this point.
Are there any different loadouts for like the strikers, like Pure Sabak or Duchess or anything?
You can look at something like Countdown. I think Countdown's probably. I was considering looking at Countdown, so we'll roll with that one.
Roll Countdown.
Sure, we'll go
So
looking at Countdown and maybe Pure Sabak thrown in there too. They're about the same initiative and loadout.
Yeah. So I think it's more interesting with Countdown because I think Pure Sabak is almost like instantly shield upgrade and you have 1 point.
Shield,
so
right?
just shield ruthless, right?
Yeah.
Pure Sabak has like no additional defense. He's a pure offense target priority threat. So to me, Countdown is the one that ends up being more interesting because there are definitely games where Countdown ends up being a ship that your opponent completely ignores. They just don't want to deal with like 1 damage a turn, and they would let the user of Countdown kept Countdown enough out of the initial engage that they couldn't put all their guns on Countdown. So now, maybe we'll just ignore it, right? So you could initially, if you want to, for a Countdown pilot, you could go with Shield and Ruthless, and I think Discipline is kind of like the starting point Countdown, because yes, you're just adding another health to the total pool, a chance for a little bit more help when you do get attacked twice, and maybe you do actually have to worry about your defense mitigating first and then your ability or whatever order necessary. But I think Discipline is really key on that Countdown because if they don't look at Countdown and go start killing other stuff, then Discipline will really start to matter to say, oh, they killed my bomber, my Tomax, or my Deathfire. Countdown can just be like, okay, you killed them. I'm going to lock you, or I'm going to barrel roll to get the shot I want on you, which is very, very key. But I think there's also completely reasonable to not take shield upgrade to make Countdown maybe a little more appetizing to go after and utilize that, or just say I want more offense. I want to bring like a Tiber Saxon gunner to start off with. I'd still probably throw for Discipline just for that same sort of target priority situation. Then you got 3 points left at that instead of
go Lone Wolf maybe.
Yeah, I think Lone Wolf Countdown could be pretty good in a 4-ship list. Lone Wolf, Discipline, Tiber Saxon.
Yeah, because you usually see Countdown over on the by himself, right?
Yeah, force your opponent to make the decision to try and deal with that Countdown or not.
Yeah, and that Lone Wolf does help out on defense as well. When it's like, well, if I roll if I have 1 paint showing and it's coming like 2 damage or 2 damage in, then or 3 damage in. If I reroll the blank into a focus, then I'll spend my focus and take 1 damage and still have my ability.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty infuriating when you're going up against Countdown and your first and you got 2 shots and you're like, okay, I might actually do real damage to him this time. First shot goes in, and it comes out to you only doing 1 regular damage without him needing to use his ability to go, oh, great. Now my second shot is automatically only ever going to do 1 damage back.
Yeah. And then I have to do a third to even do real, possibly destroy him this turn.
Exactly. Yeah. I do think beyond Lone Wolf, you can always consider seismic charges for 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely. Good,
But
good choice as well.
I think the only thing I would quote staple on Countdown is Discipline, just because of how well it interacts with his effect on the board. And if your opponent just tries to opt into not shooting Countdown, you have that sort of built-in, like, okay, you're not, but now I'm going to punish you for killing my friendly ships. So
You see, it's funny that you say that's your only staple, because that's something that I never put. I'm not gonna say number, but I rarely put on Countdown, and I have flown Countdown a lot. I usually try to front load and predict where his where his damage output is gonna come from, and I'll do something like Marksman. I'm a big fan of Marksman. You can do Marksman Ruthless, Marksman Ruthless, Gar Saxon, and like Seismic, or you can even not have not Gar Saxon, Tiber Saxon, and you can even upgrade the bomb and just take more leverage out of the bomb. Something like again, going into Marksman Ruthless, Guild Bombardier, and Cluster Mines. If you really just want to like throw them in there and make them a mess. It actually makes it very difficult for people to fly behind you. Same thing with proton and ion bombs. I think since one of the downfalls for Countdown is that since he has to stress himself in order to keep his ability up, it's easy for people to stress him, K-turn, and just kind of like pursue him and keep him stressed and keep him basically not facing. So bombs, not seismic charges, but bombs that do immediate impact are a good way to get around that. So I actually think Countdown is an open book, even to the point of going something like Ruthless or Marksmanship and not advance. What is it? The big bomb, the good one. Proximity mines, like anything you can think on. Anything that you can think for the most part to add on Countdown, you're probably gonna have a good reason to, as long as you're building it, how you want to fly them. And I think that's one of the nicest things about Countdown is, as long as you know what role you want him to play, you can either front load his ability, you can throw Discipline down there, and make that be more like not front loading it, but it's more like reactionary. Like if you do this, there's gonna be a consequence. So anyway, I'm a big fan of Countdown, and I think that's a good choice, for this conversation that we're having about different ways to load them out. Because I don't think there's very many wrong ways to load them out, as long as you're flying them according to how you loaded them out.
Sure, that makes sense. Real versatile piece with that bomb and gunner slot in there. Is there another pilot, Marcel, that you think has some options for their loadout?
So are we doing ships that are see and play, or ships that
Either way, just something that doesn't have like Sat Salvo bomblet. You know what I mean? Like something that we might not see very often, and
Okay.
has like Countdown has a couple different ways to fly it.
Well, why don't we do Morniki, assuming that you have Rack on there already, the way that you guys have said.
Yeah,
build
Rack only gets like 3 points to play with, and it's not as
So-
exciting. Morniki though, a lot of points to play with.
Yeah, so you're not gonna have your Vader, you're not gonna have your Death Troopers, you're not gonna have those things.
Well, the
So-
reason is that you can't get both, because Death Troopers are 2 crew, Vader's a crew, Morna only has 2 crew, so you can't get both of them. So
Yeah,
what do
but I
you do
mean,
instead?
assuming that they are on Rack, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, sure, okay.
Yeah. So one of the things that is good to put on him, I think, especially if you're flying that double decimator list. Maybe double decimator and a couple bombers or something of that sort, because that gives you 14. That gives you enough for two 3-pointers. So let's say double deci, and then you get Reimer and Tomax, or you get Tomax and Laurier or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually fit Moff Gerard. I think that's a really good upgrade to put on decimators, just to get them in unpredictable spots. Moff Gerard, during the system phase, you may spend 2 charges if you do choose the boost direction, and each friendly ship may perform a red boost action. So maybe turn 2, you need to get behind. You need to get around the rock or something every other turn. As long as you're not stressed, you can go ahead and do this. So Moff Gerard is, I think, a good one to put on him. Another one is Seventh Sister. If an enemy ship at range 0 to 1 would gain a stress token, you may spend a force to have it gain a jam or tractor token instead. I think that's actually very powerful on a ship that moves at initiative 4 and is blocking up a lot of space. So then you would have Gerard, Seventh Sister, Death Troopers is somewhere out there with Rack, and then let me see what else you can do. Ever Saxons doesn't make sense. Some bombs probably make sense, but let's see if we can get anything else that's more fun. Actually, there's not a whole lot more that's a lot more fun. I probably do like just putting it on the bombs. Potentially seismic charges to open up some of the board, or some ion bombs to just control and make sure you know where they're going to be. Agile Gunner. I think Agile Gunner is a must, especially if you don't have Dauntless title because you put it on rack. So Agile Gunner, and yeah, so Agile Gunner. So I would Moff Gerard, Seventh Sister, Agile Gunner, and either ion or proton bombs. Because there's not a whole lot of good 1-pointers that I would throw on there instead.
And Ruthless.
Or Ruthless, maybe. Yeah,
Ruthless.
maybe Ruthless.
You got another rack around, so.
Yeah, you keep saying racks on the flying around. Probably at range 1 of
Yeah,
the
you're
enemy.
right. And actually, the bombers with 6 health also aren't terrible for Ruthless if nobody's targeting them. So yeah, so Ruthless, Moff Gerard, Seventh Sister, Agile Gunner, and Ion Bombs, I think, is probably a decent ship to put next to Rack, and then have, again, your other 3-pointers. Tomax Brand's got to be on there, but outside of Tomax, your final 3-pointer, whether you want another bomber or maybe Laurier. I don't know. What would you guys do with Morna if you were also putting him in there? You're not gonna put him in there over Rack, so let's assume Rack's in there.
Yeah. I think electronic baffle is always a consideration on decimators, but it may be not as important because you don't have Dauntless on Morna, assuming you have Dauntless on Rack. You're not stressing yourself as much with the whole bump into a reinforce. So, because I have pretty much the exact same thing. It's just the last 5 points because it's Seventh Sister, Agile Gunner, Moff Gerard. I think Baffle can potentially really help decimators when they need to make sure they're doing reinforces and get to the place they need to go. So if Morna does go up in bump focuses or gets hit with an ion bomb or gets triple ion, you can just baffle off the ion token instead and still be able to do your regular move and not be ionized. So you could always consider that. You would just lose out on Ruthless because I would take Seismic, or you could just not take a bomb and go Ruthless instead and be left with kind of 2 points of whatever. I mean, if you're doing Congo lining decimators, you could tactical scrambler Morniki and have her just kind of be in the face of everything and get some additional obstructions through her for your bombers or rack. Oddly enough,
I can see
but
that.
if I could take bomblet generator, which you
Yeah.
can't since you don't have a second payload slot.
Actually, it's not terrible technical scrambler, assuming that the first shot, the first main salvo is going to be double reinforced.
Yeah, like if you either go at Morna who's double reinforced, or if anything else is behind Morna gets an extra agility.
Yeah, especially
the more
if
I think
you're
about it,
the
the more
low
I definitely want to
initiative
keep
blocker.
Ruthless. So it's more of a, do you want a bomb or do you want Baffle with Tactical Scrambler? Because that's the only 2 points you got left.
Interesting.
What about I think Seventh Sister for sure. Like if you don't have Seventh Sister somewhere else in your list, Seventh Sister is a great use there. But what about Disciplined, Seventh Sister, Callus, Agile Gunner, and Proton Bomb?
How much is Callus?
Callus is
He's only
5.
How much is Minister Tua?
Tua is 4.
Probably take Minister Tua instead.
Yeah, I like that line of thought because you are doubling down on like eyeball conversions. It's like why Rack tries not to use Vader for his attack dice because he's already got a combination, and of course, Morna loves those reinforces.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about though? I like that Callus idea. I had Agent Callus in that hunted condition, giving them an eyeball changing with Grand Inquisitor. Grand Inquisitor says after an enemy at range 0 to 2 reveals its dial, you can spend your force to perform one action on your action bar, treating that action as red. So you can basically trade your force out for either a focus or a target lock, or even a rotate. If they got like a 5 forward on their dial and they're going to be leaving, you'd flip it around. But for me, it would be to try to get a target lock, so I can get reinforce, target lock, and an eyeball modification through Callus.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of easy ways to do that. And it does mess you up. Like again, this is kind of like assuming that Dauntless is on a different ship because you normally would be stressed through Dauntless if you're trying to be doing this kind of shenanigans. But yeah, I mean, it shows a lot of versatility there when you could just pick the crew combination that you need.
I do like that Disciplined on there though.
The barrel roll and decimator.
Yeah,
that's terrifying. Just watching that just block you, then barrel roll off of you if you destroyed a ship.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Sounds hilarious.
Yeah, it does. Just the boosting decimator is it's quite funny, especially when they have range 1 abilities and other things that punish bumps or punish being close.
Sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, not a lot of people are expecting a decimator to boost in the system phase and then do a blue move. So, like, if you're rack at I5, you could potentially boost, block low initiative stuff, dare them to do bump focuses because you are
Death Trooper.
with Death Troopers and Vader around, and then you do your like 1 bank or 1 straight, maybe go past them a little bit now that you bumped them, and now your front back arc, and now your back arc's pointing at them at range 1 after they've bumped because they were trying to block you, but now you've blocked them.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you could get a decimator to double reposition in a turn.
Yeah, with
with discipline,
discipline and Moff Gerard.
Jared Gerard. Yeah.
That ship is moving. Look at it go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got another big boy ship to talk about. Not as big as the Decimator, but I feel like there's got to be something to the 4-point tie RB heavy Rampage. You're talking all up. Countdown is one of the 4-point options. I mean, Fifth Brother. The X ones, Juno, Merrick. There's Jonas in the bomber. There's so many heavy hitters. But why not Rampage with the ability to hand out strain when they're going fast in this, call them the Time Brutes. But what kind of configuration? I mean, is it, to me, Rampage, because they want to end up at range 0 to 1, I have a hard time not putting the ion cannon, one of the only cannons that even can shoot range 1 and do damage onto it. Of course, you get your free droid. I think I would favor the maneuver assist to get those 3 bank blues.
Maneuver is a little bit easier to use with Rampage.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to clear some stress after a Talon roll or hard 3 or something, because you do got to be going fast for their ability. And then Agile Gunner. But then Agile Gunner might be more important than your cannon selection. Being able to rotate now without having to do the funny linked actions of either, what's the regular linked action? Rotate into red, calculate.
Yeah, it's rotate into red calc, yeah. And
yeah,
then the maneuver gives you roll calc.
Yeah, and the target assist gives you white rotate into calc. But then you could change it back in the system phase, so a little bit of play there. But then you have 3 points for the rest of your loadout, and really the only option to me is with Ion Cannon is this Ion Limiter Override. Being able to do barrel rolls and stuff. If I understand it correct, it's the same timing. After you execute a 3 to 4 speed maneuver and Ion Limiters, after you fully execute. But Ryan, is this like an Anakin situation where I got to trigger?
There's no if in the statement, so you're good.
There's no ifs. Okay.
What are you trying to do?
Ion Limiter Override to barrel roll.
He wants to Talon and then barrel roll with Ion Limiter and barrel into a Rampage arc.
Does that work? Let's read Rampage's ability again. After you execute a 3-4 speed maneuver, you may choose a ship in your turret arc at range 0 to 1. Period.
I don't think it's the same as Anakin. I'm probably not going to eloquently explain it as best as a judge would, like a Chris Allen or a Chris Mitchell or Tim Horsburgh, but I don't believe that there's the same wording as Anakin that requires.
Yeah, because
I think a whole extra additional.
Yeah, Anakin says after you execute the maneuver, if there is a ship in your bullseye, then you can do this thing.
Oh, okay.
But this one says choose a ship in your bullseye, choose a ship in your turret, then period, if you do, that ship gains a strain. Not if there is a ship in your bullseye or in your turret.
Right. Then there's one more point left over for this, so and not a lot of other options, so we'll throw the Jamie beam on there. So this has been kind of my question I want to bounce to you guys. This would
you got to throw Ruthless on there.
Yeah, Ruthless.
You think Ruthless over the Ion?
No, Ruthless over the
Ruthless.
Over whatever else.
No, he has Ion Limiter Override on there already.
Oh,
it's
so
only a single talent on the ship.
Yeah, I would just put Agile. You already have Agile on there?
I already got agile. I got agile.
I'm
But
Yeah.
like this
You can
this is not
technically equip
scary.
jamming beam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
Yeah,
I
that's
got
what you're
jamming beam.
saying. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, jamming beam, agile gunner, cannon, ion limit override with the maneuver assist droid, which I feel like this would be like the de facto loadout for this ship, but turns out this isn't scary. Shooting one ion cannon, maybe straining you before they do it. Shooting unmodified attacks because I'm either too busy doing red maneuvers or I'm reinforcing, so I'm not destroyed right away.
Yeah,
So
I don't think I'm bringing a 4-point ship to bring an ion cannon.
this is what I'm saying. So how do you make this rampage scary? That something that people will have to deal with all of a sudden.
I think you do need synced laser cannon, which
Yeah.
same points. You just can't take the jamming beam. Oh no. And I think you do need ruthless, and you can just put that other 2 points into electronic baffle
In the baffle.
to mitigate some of the red issues you've had. It wouldn't help the whole like use ion limiter override to get Rampage's ability working.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Agile Gunner actually helps Rampage a whole lot more than people realize. Because I know a lot of people are like, yeah, you just, you run up and then you run in their face and give them a thing. You can.
Right.
It's like
But also, Rampage is just going to die. So
Yeah.
I think it's actually better off, like, first turn you kind of get into range in general and actually reinforce. Mitigate as much damage as you can. And then, if set up correctly, rotate your arc to the rear and then like turn out or away with like that 3 bank,
Mm-hmm.
or just do the 3 turn. It's fine if it's red. And then your arc's already pointing to the back, so you're using your back arc moving past them or to the side of them, and then just we have a ship at range 0 to 1 in that back arc now. They're gonna get strained or double strained. Really cool.
Yeah, it is
Oh.
true that like at initiative 4, a lot of the time, Rampage is just going to do the maneuver. Then they're going to move out of range 1. So it's not like you have to shoot these ships at range 1. Rampage is also interesting that their ability is one of the few that lacks the fully execute. It just says execute. Feel free to rampage your ship right into another one to give them a strain or 2.
Like knowing you cannot complete that maneuver.
Yeah, just dial in that 3 bank. See what slam right into another ship. Though that will prevent you from K-turning, but not prevent you from doing the agile gunner. Being able to like flip it to the back next round and just fly right over them. So maybe I'm trying to fly this thing like how would I describe it? More like a Punisher or like a fire spray or something, or maybe not that fire spray.
An arc.
Yeah, like a Republic arc. Like I'm oddball. That is what I'm trying to fly in there and just blast something. But really, I mean, it sounds like I need to be taking advantage, flying it more like Ryan. What you described is like an A-wing, like a low initiative resistance A-wing.
Like RZ2, yeah.
Yeah, flipping the turret and then turning away, or turning away.
Yeah,
and
it'd
then
be like
flipping
the
turret.
equivalent of like an RZ1 vectored cannon. You're like preemptively flipping it around and then moving past.
Okay,
The
I like
intent
that
of
analogy.
setting that up, yeah. You just end up, if you're trying to set up Rampage's ability, because it requires him to go 3 or higher speed maneuver. If you're doing the 3 turn, you're going to end up stressed because 3 turns red. Or if you're doing the 3 bank or 3 straight, 4 straight red.
No, 4 choice white.
4 choice white.
Come on
Cool.
in.
Even better. Yeah.
Come on in. Yeah, and with the maneuver assist, you get the 3 bank and the 3 straight blue.
And that's
true.
so. Other side point. I don't think it's maneuver assist. I think it's target assist. You want to make the damage matter more. Why not just Yeah, especially if you're moving past them, right? We know that generally things flying past us can be hard to turn at and like shoot. So move
Sure.
past, take a lock, and then get those green tokens from target assist and put on the
Interesting.
damage.
I like the target assist, but I think with Rampage, like you're gonna need to be doing some crazy moves, and that maneuver assist really does help out. Like with the white barrel roll, really does help out.
Yeah, it does give you the white barrel roll. That's the white barrel roll, like linked into red calculate, and then you just next turn just 3 bank anyways. Like
Yeah.
I do think that it gives a little bit more maneuverability, obviously, but what it's lacking is the scary attack. So maybe you are right, Ryan. That just need to focus in and be scary out there. Interesting.
I mean, you already have the ruthless, so
Yeah, but sometimes we can be scary without hurting our teammates too.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, or a triple. Have you seen my dice? I got a triple modem sometimes, James.
you do. You're like, I can never be angry about your red dice because I'm just like they would have gotten that way anyway.
We're gonna get there.
Yeah.
We're gonna force it.
Like, yeah, 'cause you're gonna reroll those. You're gonna spend a force for that. You're gonna ruthless that one. Like, it's gonna get 3 hits anyway. So it just how much resources you have to spend for it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, somebody can find success with Rampage. I mean, 4 points for that reinforce on 8 health. Gotta be something to it. And a turret to boot. It's like a tiny fire spray out there. Or more like a bad arc. Who's to say? What about you, James? You got one.
Yeah, I think it's
pilot.
It's like the vectored
like a-
cannon RZ1.
It's like an RZ1 mixed with an ARC 170.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was looking at the V1, but I think a lot of their loadouts, because they have so few loadout points, it's pretty like set.
Yeah,
like,
fifth only
fifth
having
brother-
7 and
Yeah.
6 with 6.
Yeah.
They both basically love very specific things. Either
Yeah. You got to go with the
Missile.
homing missile.
I mean-
It's just so good.
turns out missiles are
you-
pretty good. So start
Yeah,
there.
you lost your heavy laser cannon. That's fair. You probably shouldn't have had that to begin with. Uh, and then 7th is spend to
Except
it's
only
crack shot,
only
that's
yeah,
right.
it's
Yeah.
force crack shot, but only on primary.
Yeah.
So you could double down. I mean, but I feel like the missile's so good on it. I don't know if you drop down to say like mag pulse, and then maybe run like brilliant or discipline.
Ooh, because you have to take the lock. Yeah, I would probably take mag bolts brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially all you got to do is take other low initiatives, like initiative 4 or lower, to really get the
I mean,
most
I guess you
benefit out of
could.
mag bolts.
I guess you could be doing instinctive, but because they do have focus linked actions, so brilliant.
Yeah, the focus linked. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. If you do go instinctive,
But brilliant, I mean, turns out sometimes you get shot twice around, so having multiple. But how many times you can roll multiple eyeballs? 100%.
yeah, I think I'd still go with brilliant there.
Yeah.
But yeah, with so few loadout, even with Grand only coming in at 10 loadout, they're really just not giving these guys a lot of room to work with. And a lot of those are like force, talent, sensor, missile. That's it.
Mm.
So
what do you think then would be an interesting ship
man.
to take a look at?
they don't have a ton in.
Oh, I would want to
standard
say
rank,
that
yeah.
at least on Fifth Brother, I like at least prefer instinctive aim concussion missile. I'm not chasing his ability a ton. I would like to fire 3 dice at all ranges and not make it difficult on myself by taking a target lock. So that's the thing about TIE V1s. They don't link target lock with any of it. It's always repo linked focus. So I think just spending your force for instinctive aim, and then maybe if you're range 1, you get to use fifth. Right?
Oh, man, I have a hard time not doing that homing missile though.
It's a big commitment.
I think it's just a bit too gimmicky for him. I think Seven Sister being 1 point less slowed out just makes it even worse to deal with because if you instinctive aim, you just like, what are you doing? Ion
shooting an ion missile or a mag pulse, yeah.
It gets not great. So you can
yeah, I think
a decent force upgrade or something in a talent, but Seven Sisters, unfortunately, a little sad.
I mean, you could double down with those crack shots, but I wouldn't recommend not taking the missile. Missile's too good on it. Predictive crack shot. So you can't predictive in 7th. No.
You can't predictive, yeah.
No. All right, FCS. I took a long range lock. That sounds terrible. Don't do that. That's real bad.
If I can't do V1s because their loadout is kind of smushed, we can do something like a defender with Vessery or Brath.
Wexler Brath, sure.
Yeah.
Probably more likely to be seeing the at the same point. It's probably more likely to see the I-5.
Yeah, and with more loadout.
All right,
for some reason.
I mean, Rex Brath is the best one. Has a 13 loadout and the ability after you perform an attack that hits if you're evading, expose one of the defender's damage card. Amazing. Turns every attack into an attack with a crit.
Yeah, very, very good. So obviously we're not going to go TIE Defender Elite here. But I know I want to reach for it, but I think I probably just go something like obviously Juke. You start with Juke, right?
I mean, if you're taking the full throttle, you might as well lean into it.
Yeah,
I would imagine, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can just take that heavy laser cannon that's so good on them, but you're left with like one loadout to spare. But I think it is a good combination. You could go something different with a lock-based weapon with something like either cluster or concussion. If you go with a 4-point missile, you at least get fire control. But I think mag pulse wouldn't be terrible on Rexler. No, it would be. You're right. Still in the 1 crit. You want to do damage. So yeah, probably cluster. If you're going missiles, you go cluster, right? Cluster fire control.
I mean, does have a double missile. Could go multi-missile pod or
Don't
diamond
talk to me
boron.
about this multi-missile pod.
Multi-missile pod. Actually, just to say, it is front arc. You could do flipping your cards 360 or 180.
Yeah. If you don't go the fire control, then I would probably go diamond boron just for the 3 charges and also the possible splash effect. Any other?
No, I think that makes sense. Can I ask you?
Yeah.
I want to go elite though. What are you putting on him?
I want to. No, not. I think Rexler is the only one doesn't go elite.
That's
like
true,
there's never a time you go elite.
Because he does need to be evading, huh? Interesting.
Yes. Yeah. I will go elite on Dobbs every day of the week.
Dobbs, you say? Okay. Why Dobbs?
Dobbs is never if he keeps ionizing himself, and so it's hard to get that tie with the lock. But what I've seen with Dobbs is after he low initiative after he performs that his ion maneuver after doing his cancel a damage and has someone else give him a luck. So now he's throwing like an ion cannon and or a missile. You could you can ion proc at somebody. He's taking that focus.
Did you know that you could take thread tracers? We have Defender Elite. Talking about the advanced fire control. After you perform a cannon or missile attack, if you have a lock on the defender, you may perform a bonus primary attack against the defender.
Okay.
So something like thread tracers could give you a lock to allow yourself to follow up with, say, an ion cannon.
There you go. And then for your talent, man, you have 5 points on that talent.
Is it strange to say swarm tactics to bring somebody below you? Is that too crazy?
That is weird to bring someone down.
To bring something like a Merrick Stell down to 3, so you could give him a lock. Or even
I would
say like Major Reimer in the bomber could go down to 3. Is that crazy?
Yeah, I'd probably go. That is pretty crazy. I would look at passive sensors, or you could go like with Predator and Fire Control, where that first turn you can guarantee that
fire control seems pretty good.
Yeah, Dobbs is the only one that can do juke collision. I think these defenders wanting to go fast. Collision is a really good choice for them, and he's the only one that can do that.
Is that just because of loadout?
Yeah, because it's 14. Because juke is 7, collision is 7. So
yeah,
that does solve the problem of trying to 4K, even though there's an obstacle right in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's it's gonna be tough to kill that ship, especially it's moving at initiative 3. It's usually gonna know where it's gonna end up.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna be stressed almost ever.
Sure.
That is true. That's one of the biggest ways to stop to shut down a defender is to stress it one time. That's it.
Yeah, and the YK turn.
Stress it or make it turn into rocks. So.
Right. Yeah.
He's not stressed and he's not in rocks.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't care about rocks at least.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I think that's some good stuff. Some interesting loadouts to take a look at for Empire, who is really, to me, Empire has had the biggest shakeup this season, going from very, very rigid 3 agility Darth Vader shenanigans to double decimators again. That's some crazy stuff.
Why'd you say the again so sadly?
They used to, it used to be 2 decimators and Jingoist, but Jingoist in timeout right now for a while. Actually, I would say most TIE fighters at 3 points in timeout right now. We're gonna let the bombers have their time in the sun. We'll go back to TIE fighters after.
Yeah, I mean we've seen
season
some
or 2 of the bombers.
We've seen some of the non-limiteds make a splash, so.
I know. Well, that Dobbs list. Guess what? 6 of his friends were gonna be, or 5 of his friends. 5 of his friends were gonna be Black Squadron aces, I3 TIE fighters, with those tracer missiles. But
that's true.
That was very scary. Then what? Tomax or something? I don't know. A 4-point I3.
Yeah, I would say
no.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, no bomb. I was gonna say you can throw Deathfire in there, but please don't throw bombs in this list.
I tried that, but the Deathfire with a TIE Swarm.
Yeah. How did it do?
I played you against it. Remember?
Oh.
I haven't played it since. So.
Oh, okay.
I beat you, but it was Scramble. Remember, we had 15 ships on the board.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was a mess.
It was a mess to be hucking bombs around.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we can reminisce about other games, but for now, we're going to call it a wrap. We're going to be back Wednesday, of course, for Flight Club. Check me and James out as we hang out at the local simulation. Though this weekend, though, you gotta check us out. Starting, that would be, I think, just Saturday and Sunday. I gotta double check maybe that's why I'm thinking it was a different time. Nope. Should be October 21st, so Saturday and Sunday for that World Qualifier. So definitely check that out. Support Dion while he's traveling up there. Otherwise, we'll be back here every Monday for the podcast live on Twitch. Otherwise, check out the video portion on our YouTube. So, until next time, stay safe, stay smart. Gold Squadron Cats!
Thank you to ISO, Danko, Baffle, Trojan, Prophet, Shadow, Tycho, Spice, Raider, Lancer, Fallen, Row 6, 626, Chief, and J List, our Grand Admiral patrons. And all of our Gold Squadron patrons and community members, thank you for your support. Gold Squadron out.